Welcome to this edition of the Sound Sorceresses newsletter, June Joy and July Preview. Sound Sorceresses celebrates Pride. Sound Sorceresses is a celebration of the value we bring as technical experts and cultural torchbearers. We're focused on women actively engaged in audio storytelling. The second edition of Sound Sorceresses was published on January 1st, 2024, and edition 3 has been ready for your reading pleasure since April 1st, 2024. Sound Sorceresses is a reader-supported publication. To receive new posts and support the work, consider becoming a free or paid subscriber. Welcome to Pride Month at Sound Sorceresses. I'm so excited to be celebrating this month, but also have a bunch of feelings around the fact that the next edition of Sound Sorceresses will be out and ready for you to read in just a month. If you're interested in advertising in the July edition, I would invite you to check out a post on Facebook, and that post is linked in the written edition of this newsletter. In this week's newsletter, I have the pleasure of highlighting Mary Morgan, Katie Feather, and Wil Williams. Let's dive in to talk about authenticity, home, and more. But first, do you want to support Sound Sorceresses? Here's how. Click the like heart below to show us some audio love. Forward this issue to a friend and help amplify women in audio. Or help support the Sound Sorceresses magazine by making a one-time donation or subscribing starting at $8.50 a month. The thin line between acting and masking. When I reached out to Mary Morgan to share how much her World Autism Day post on LinkedIn meant to me and invite her to write for Sound Sorceresses, I didn't expect to get a yes. So I literally could not have been more thrilled when Mary replied back, accepting my invitation. Mary graciously agreed to write about masking and how that impacts her professional practice. She says, quote, "My goals are now to work with as many creative people as possible and establish teamwork on projects I'm hired to be a part of or that I create myself. The only pretending I do today is on stage, on film, behind a microphone, or with written words." End quote. Audio storytelling has some truly radical potential because of how accessible it is. Let's continue building a world where we can all share our voices. Hometown history. Audio storyteller and co-creator of Hometown History, Mendham, New Jersey, Katie Feather is joining us in July to talk about her path in audio storytelling and just how hard it can be to take your own advice. In her article, she shares, quote, "As I got off the call, which went unexpectedly well, Amy emailed later to say it was very helpful and, quote, surprisingly motivating, end quote. I considered again the advice I had come up with on the spot, which was to work on a passion project during this fallow season for audio. Why didn't I try taking my own advice?" End quote. And boy, did she take her own advice. If you haven't tuned into Hometown History, you really should. Even if you don't live in New Jersey, as many of us do not. You're going to love the curiosity that Katie and Ryan used to discover their new hometown. We get to close out today with a press release from Wil Williams. We're working with the celebrated podcast, Making Gay History. This year, for Stonewall's 55th anniversary, the podcast is re-releasing their 5th season. A look inside the 1969 Stonewall Uprising from the people who were actually there. This re-release is also coming with some exciting extras. A bonus episode interview with June Thomas, former head of Slate Podcasts, co-host of Working, and author of an upcoming book on lesbian spaces. Making Gay History host Eric Marcus, New York Times bestseller and author of a dozen books, including 2 editions of Making Gay History, will also be on a panel for a live recording of Slate's Slow Burn at this year's Tribeca Film Festival. More info on Making Gay History and Eric Marcus below. Looking forward to hearing from you. About Making Gay History. Making Gay History is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that addresses the absence of substantive, in-depth LGBTQ plus inclusive American history from the public discourse and the classroom. By sharing the stories of those who helped a despised minority take its rightful place in society as full and equal citizens, we aim to encourage connection, pride, and solidarity within the LGBTQ plus community, and to provide an entry point for both allies and the general public to its largely hidden history. Eric Marcus is the author of a dozen books, including 2 editions of Making Gay History. The original 1992 edition is entitled Making History, Why Suicide? And Breaking the Surface, the #1 New York Times best-selling autobiography of Olympic diving champion Greg Louganis. Eric is also the co-producer of Those Who Were There, a podcast drawn from the Fortuna video archives for Holocaust testimonies. He is the founder and chair emeritus of the Stonewall 50 Consortium and is a founding board member of the American LGBTQ Plus Museum. Learn more about Eric in this NBC News profile. As ever, Sound Sorceresses would love to host your writing. I know there are a few subscribers waiting to hear back from me. Thank you for your patience. I'm getting really excited for you to read the July 2024 edition, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it on release day. And I will see you next Monday. I hope you have a great week.